Now suppose we weren't given any factors at the beginning to work with and we're asked to find all the factors of this polynomial over here. Well, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to test a couple of possible factors and see which ones actually equal 0, like the integral 0 theorem and the remainder 0 theorem tell us. So to find possible factors, we take all the factors of the last term. In this case, that would be the 10, plus or minus all those factors, divided by plus or minus all the factors of the first term. In this case, that would be the 1. And so when we do that, we end up getting the following. So we get plus or minus, the factors of 10 are going to be 1, 2, 5, and 10. And that's going to be divided by plus or minus 1. And so what that means is that we're going to essentially test for all of these factors, which is all of these here at the top are divided by 1. So it's just really plus or minus 1, 2, 5, and 10. So with that in mind, we're going to set up our synthetic division, and we will start with, let's say, the first one here, number 1. So let's say I decide to pick plus 1 to start off with. It really doesn't matter which one of these I start off with, but I'm just picking plus 1. And I'm going to do the usual synthetic division to see if by the end of this, plus 1 is going to get me 0. So as we can see, we got a remainder of 2, so this is not a factor, so I'm going to go on to the next one. Okay, so we finally got a remainder of 0. It only took like 5 calculations, but we figured out that x minus 5 is a factor. So remember from before that these values here, they give us the quotient, and I'm going to drop that at 1 whole degree. So I got x squared minus 1x minus 2, and that equals 0. Now this is really important because with this equation here, I can actually find the other 2 factors, because I could just factor this like a quadratic. Now, how do I know that there's 2 other factors and not just 1? Well, because the original function has a degree of 3, which means that there should be 3 factors or roots or zeros. Okay, so now, like we would any other quadratic, let's factor this quadratic for the other remaining factors. Okay, so now after factoring this quadratic, we have learned that the other factors are x plus 1 and x minus 2. So in total, we have x plus 1, x minus 2, and then x minus 5 as the factors of the polynomial listed. So let's say we're asked to factor the following polynomial that has 4 degrees. We're going to follow the same process. It's just going to be an extra step. So as per usual, we're going to write our possible factors. So let's write possible factors as the factors of the final term, which is -6. And that'd be plus or minus essentially 1, 2, 3, and 6. Those would all be factors of -6. And then over the factors of the first term, which in this case would be 2. So that'd be plus or minus 1 over 2. And so essentially, we're going to test all the factors that encompass this over here. So what I do is I'm going to put the coefficients, as we have done previously, over here and write a divisor sign. And remember, we're looking for binomials that are going to end in a remainder of 0. So whether you start at plus or minus, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to start with minus 1 here, so x minus 1. So I'm going to bring the 2 down here. And 2 times negative 1 gives us negative 2. And then 7 minus minus 2 is going to be 9. And then this is going to be 9 times negative 1, which gives us negative 9. Negative 26 minus minus 9 is going to give us 15, or negative 15, I should say. Negative 15 multiplied by 1 gives us 15. And then 23 minus 15 gives us 8. 8 times negative 1 is negative 8. This is not going to equal 0, so we're going to go on to the next. So now that we tried negative 1, we're going to try positive 1. So same thing here. So this would be x plus 1. And so I'm going to carry the 2 down here, and I'm going to do the same usual steps. So I've exhausted both the plus 1 and the minus 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go plus 6 here. And so this will be x plus 6. So I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to drop the 2 down. This is going to give me 12. 7 minus 12 is minus 5. 6 times negative 5 is going to be negative 30. Negative 26 minus 30 is going to give us 4. 6 times 4 is 24. 23 minus 24 is going to give us negative what? Negative 1 times 6 gives us negative 6. Negative 6 minus minus 6, that is going to give us 0. So finally, we found our first factor. And then as per usual, this now is the quotient. And so we're going to drop it down an entire degree as follows. Once I have my new equation here, I'm going to get the factors or the possible factors of 1 and 2. And of course, that's just going to be plus or minus the last term, which is, well, the factors is going to be 1 and negative 1. And then over plus and minus factors of 2, which is, well, 1 and 2. And so, again, we'll just start at negative 1. And we're going to bring that term down here. So 2. We're going to go 2 times negative 1 is going to be negative 2. Minus 5 minus minus 2 is going to give us 3. 3 times negative 1 is going to be, minus 3. That's going to be positive 3. 4 minus 3 is going to give us 1. 1 times negative 1 is going to give us negative 1. And negative 1 minus minus 1 is going to give us 0. And so we have found another factor. And that is going to be x minus 1. So far we have 2 factors. We have x plus 6 and x minus 1. Now, just like we did before, we have a new quotient. I'm going to draw my box here. And there'll be 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. Now you can do a couple things. You can factor it like a quadratic. And if you're more used to doing that, then I would suggest you do so.